Brothers and sisters, the caliber of God's word is such that he does not entrust it to just anybody. Unfortunately, in our generation, many of us have been preaching the Bible without revelation. But I want you to know that the Bible is much more than a black ink on a white paper. Until we get to the true gist and import of God's delivery, there's little chance of we rising up to depict the glory of God. We will profess to be him. We profess to be of him. We will profess power, but the reality of the power can never show in our lives, because our lives are such that God can never entrust us with the fullness of his revelation. Let me share with you one revelation that hits the planet Earth is going to change a whole lot of things. One revelation from God that will come out of the mouth of a man and a woman, that will hit the very place that it hits. Things that have never happened would happen. But God has never found such a man yet, and such a woman yet, to bring through him the things that would change all the hearts of evil, demonism, satanism that are in the world. We have to go further than me and myself. When we wind up today, let's go back and do serious check of our lives. The first place is check your relationship. If you're a married man, how do you live with your wife? How do you live with your husband? Do you truly love one another? Are you faithful one to another? Do you see yourself as in partnership? I was telling my church, there's a difference between a wife and a married man and a married woman. They are not the same. You could be married and never be a wife. And you could be married and never be a husband. When you're a true husband and wife, you fulfill your marital obligations according as the Bible has declared it. But when you're a married man, you only pursue career and you don't care what happens in the house. You get up in the morning and you go about your normal duties. You are not a husband. You are not a wife. Because God is a husband to the church, you and me. He cares about everything about you and me. He takes care of everything about you and me. When there is bandaging, he does it. Nurturing, cleansing, healing, consoling, providing, embracing, encouraging, delivering, equipping, training, and equipping. That is the true nature of a true husband. Look at the rate at which Christian marriages are going down the drain. And yet we have every tool. We teach seminars about marriage, but we don't leave the teaching of the seminar. Like Solomon, he had answers and solutions to the problems of many people. And yet the very same wisdom that he dispensed with to change lives of people, to transform them, he could not appropriate them for his own good. And that's unfortunately what the church is. Many people come to us from outside the church. We provide healing, counsel, and yet go to every church every Sunday. The amount of sick people, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, physically, are innumerable. And yet we have the panacea. Why is the balm of Gilead left the church? Sit down. I'm going to close. I'm going to give you some keys. Michal's singular failing was that he failed to honor God in her life. You see, honor is personal. When you meet a man and a woman who truly honors God, you can tell by the way they walk, by the way they talk. Even as they walk to the altar to give their offerings to God, you can see the reverence in their body. Today, you go to the altar and you use your left hand to drop in. You have no reverence for God. You don't respect God. God is not your equal. You can never relegate to the God to the level of man. As loving, as kind, as merciful he is, he's sovereign, he's God. And yet we approach his altar anyhow. We talk about him anyhow. When you study the Bible, you could see the temple, you could see the voice, you could see the decorum, you could see the body language of any man and woman that spoke for God, who reverenced God. They fear that they will speak and speak amiss. It is misrepresentation of God. When you speak amiss about your master, you have misrepresented your master. And many times we have done that, and we have not gone back to make peace with God, or ask for forgiveness for misleading his people, for speaking insolently, arrogantly in the front of people as his agents and ambassadors and emissaries. I stand here to let you know, unless reverence returns to the church, the church is going nowhere. Unless the spirit of reverence returns to God, unless gimmickry leaves the church, unless entertainment leaves the church, unless carnality and sensuality leave the church, unless we get to real business, the glory that we are supposed to see in the church, the upper hand that we are supposed to have over the world, can never. Anytime Israel fell prey and victim to the enemy, is because Israel has sinned. And one of the greatest sins that Israel committed against God is not honoring him, not respecting him, and not serving him as Elohim Yahweh God, El Gibor, who chose them for his own glory and exemplify them above other nations.